Hello good people and welcome back to Level Up Your Tactics. Now if Magnus Carlsen is still the current GOAT of our generation, the question I'd like to pose is, how strong was Magnus compared to the prodigies of his time? I mean, as an 18-year-old, Magnus was 18, the world's best super GMs feared him because he was just absolutely insane. But how good was Magnus at 12 compared to somebody within maybe 1 to 2 years of his age? The answer is, he was pretty damn good. Let's have a look at this position. So it's the the Junior Championships under 14, and Magnus is 12. He plays as white here against Zevin Andreasen, which I very likely butchered. It's black to play, and black played the not so great, as you can see, blunderous move, rook to c8. And it's not a great position, because you have all these things targeting the position. But since this is a tactics video, what did Magnus do in this position to just kind of shake his opponent up a bit? And mind you, Magnus has always been a positional player. We'll find out in the video. Let's boost that ELO. Let's get
round one. Fight!
So this game took place in the World Chess Championship, Junior Chess Championship, under 14 in Chalkidiki, Greece. Magnus plays as white, only rated 2450 against Zevin Andreasen from Armenia, who's only rated 2311. Now it's easy to see and think that Magnus just bulldozes everybody, and he usually does. Zevin Andreasen became a World Junior Champion, the under 16 one, and maybe 2006. Am I saying that correctly or incorrectly? But anyways, he also became a Grandmaster. Magnus is a 2800 kind. But if you find this video somewhat tolerable and somewhat entertaining, please leave a like and sub. You have my gratitude. Let's get started. Alright, Magnus starts with d4, the queen's pawn, d5. We've got c4, the queen's gambit. A nice Netflix show. A great Netflix show. c6, the Slav defense, preparing the triangle. Knight to f3, knight to f6, knight to c3, d takes. And that's the first time the opponent lets go of the tension in the middle. And here a4. It's restricting ideas of b5, bishop to f5. Gets the bishop out of the way because as you push e6, the problem becomes how to solve that light squared bishop's development. Knight to h4, and the opponent kind of just ignores the idea of moving back to, say, g6, but wants a speedy development, but also wants to attack e4 there. e6, knight takes, e takes on f5, we have e3. Just attacking, having a solid center. These are natural developing moves. Bishop to d6, bishop takes, castle, king. Queen to f3. Attacking f5, eyeing this diagonal, if need be, g6. Notice the qualitative positional difference. Magnus plays for a solid line here. The opponent has a fianchetto, but most of the time, when you fianchetto, you want this bishop to be in g7, because it makes the fianchetto solid. If the bishop actually didn't exist, look at your weakness in the dark squares. I'm going to draw it like that. So there is a weakness in the dark squares if this didn't exist, and because it's not in g7, that's an interesting thing. h3. Restricting g4, and now h5. It's a very flinchy idea with the opponent because of what I've mentioned. Your dark squares are already weak, you don't have a bishop there, and now you're overextending this pawn, which is the pawn in front of your king. I'm not sure if he was thinking Magnus would push this pawn, because a recommended move is a bishop to b4. No, you're repeating moves, but at least you're not compromising the integrity. And after this, knight b to d7, sort of kind of ideas there. But h5 is a very committal move. It's one of those moves that you can't take back. That's what the word committal means. Anyways, bishop to d2, knight b to d7, and now castle queen by Magnus, which means this and this and this will open up. It's like how I explained that. A6, it's a race against time. I want you guys to have a look at the position here. We already established that opposite castles mean blood on the board. It's total, complete warfare. Magnus needs to attack somehow or improve the position. It will be a race. The opponent will likely push on b5 there to open up the a file. What did Magnus do here? It's a positional move. It's an initiative-seeking move in order to start an attack of sorts. Magnus sacrifices a pawn with g4. That's what he played. F takes, takes. Now, it's very important to look at this position because it does two things. If this is taken, this gets opened up. More importantly, you now have the center on e4, and even though you're down a pawn, this is a double pawn, and this is really weak. The squares in front of the king and beside the king are extremely weak. So after g4, h takes on g4 was played, and you might be wondering, what if knight takes? Isn't that cleaner? Well, it looks cleaner, but look at this pin. After queen to g2, a push here and potential pushes in the middle means that you're now overextended h-pawn, and your really lonesome king is going to be facing cannons of rooks and bishops. King 2, f3. And now removing that defender, takes and takes. Is this a comfortable position for black? The answer is way, way, way hell no. That's not even English. Don't listen to me. White has a very nice center. This is coming. Ideas here. And these two bishops are about to uncork. The opponent probably looked at that and said, I don't want any of that stuff. I'm good. So takes, instead compromises and has this open. Advantage Magnus. Queen to g2. That's of course protected. You don't want to sacrifice your queen. b5. I did say it's a race. It's now black's turn to see if he can turn the tide. And the question is, do you touch that pawn? Does it sound like a trick question? The answer is no. Magnus doesn't touch it. If you do, you give your opponent time. This is now open. You don't want time. You don't want initiative for your opponent. You want the time. You don't want your opponent to get the time. Bishop to a2, c5. Knight to e4. Queen to e7. The thing is, if you do take, that's a mistake, because after takes, this is pinned. The king is being attacked. So, king to g7. King to g7, d takes, and now you have 3 active problems here, and the evaluation is actually swinging towards white's favor at 6.2. It's almost game ending, 7.4. Why is that? Because this is open, this bishop is active, and this is coming next, and that's a huge problem. So, to decrease the potentiality of disaster, even though black is actually not doing so hot right now, queen to e7. Removing that, queen takes, and now takes. And the opponent doesn't take the pawn. You're probably thinking, why not? Well, if you decide to take, even though you're giving a check, you're not gaining any tempo after bishop to c3. The opponent gets to have, or Magnus gets to have what he wants, which is total and complete domination of the board. So queen to e7. After that threat, now bishop to c3 anyway. And now we get to the position at the beginning of the video. This is a tactics video. The concept of open files, open diagonals, and some strategic spice in between. What did Magnus play here? There's actually 2 correct answers, but what did Magnus play? Magnus is a very pragmatic player. Even as a 12-year-old, he picks the most practical route. What did Magnus play in this position? The answer in 3, 2, and 1. Magnus, sacrifice the rook. You might be wondering, what does that do? The answer in 3, I don't have to count down. That's a checkmate. You're like, okay, what if the queen takes? You take here and mate. Is that it? Well, the answer is actually another one. You could do that too. But you lose time if you take there. What's the fastest way to checkmate here as white? The answer in 3, 2, and 1. White just moves the queen to 1 square. And you can't move any other piece here, because you now have 3 checkmate threats. So after rook to e8, just mate. If king goes up to here, you guys want to guess? Queen to h7, checkmate. And now we go back to that idea. What's the other correct move that Magnus could have played? And the answer in 3, 2, and 1. This is the original puzzle, by the way. It's queen takes on g4. This is the slower route, the less pragmatic route. After king goes, queen to f4, threatening mate, takes and takes, now takes, you can't take, check, queen takes, check. It's ridiculously difficult to see this. There. You might be wondering, after queen takes on f6, why not here? And that's the same reason why Magnus didn't pick this choice, because this is an extremely long Kasparovian calculation. Queen to g7, check on g8, takes, check with this move, and then you have a pin here. And that's an insanely very computer-like calculation. So going back to the actual tactical position, after sacrificing the rook, queen took on c5. Can't touch either. And now king sidestepped. There's a push. Now queen takes on g4. And the opponent resigned. The opponent resigned because after takes, that's a mate. But wait, guys. You're probably thinking, what about king to g7? And here is another brutal tactic. You guys want to pause it. This one's actually probably the hardest to find, other than that long Kasparovian calculation. What can white play here to end the game? It's mate in 5. The answer in 3, 2, and 1. White wins by sacrificing the other, well, that rook. Again. After rook takes, check. You either draw the king out, because this rook's still on pre, or if the rook goes down, because of the open file, check. Check, and that's a mate. And if the king goes down, check. King can't go back there, because after check, that's a mate. Okay, I mentioned that's a mate. King goes down, check. Nothing to defend, and that's a mate. Beautiful stuff by Magnus. Now let's do a recap. This beautiful position that Magnus achieved with open file and 2 bishops bearing down, he finds the tactic that ends, well, sort of ends the game. It's rook takes on d7. There's a perpetual threat of checkmate there. If queen takes, you have queen to d2, threatening all sorts of nasty checkmates. King sidesteps. Queen takes on g4. You can't take because of a checkmate. And like I mentioned, if you decide to move your king up here, the game is mate in 5 with perfect play. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Pretty simple, but yeah, you could duplicate this in your games. I mean, not the way Magnus plays, but the ideas behind it. Hope to see you guys later. Double P.